Welcome to Nurse Burnout Solutions, the show that empowers you to beat stress, reclaim your energy, and discover lasting fulfillment in your nursing career. I'm your host, Betty McLean. I'm a nurse with over 20 years of experience, and I'm also a certified life and certified burnout coach. I'm here to share expert insights with you, a lot of practical tools, and some inspiring stories. So join me as we navigate the challenges of a career in healthcare, and I help you find renewed purpose and resiliency, one episode at a time. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about feelings, all the feelings, and specifically how to deal with some of those more uncomfortable feelings. Negative emotions or uncomfortable feelings are that they're uncomfortable and we tend to want to avoid them. And this is perfectly normal. This is the very natural, very human response. So there's nothing wrong with you, but we're going to get into why those uncomfortable emotions are there and what you might be doing and maybe some more helpful ways of dealing with those emotions. So, first, I want you to think about things that you do mindlessly. So, snacking, hitting watch the next episode on your show, scrolling in whatever your preferred social media app is. This can be a little tricky because you're currently doing it unconsciously, subconsciously. But I want you to think about the things that when you are feeling overwhelmed, those are your things that you go to. When you are feeling stressed and you want to chill out, decompress, relax, these are the things you go to. For me, when I am feeling especially stressed or I'm not wanting to deal with life, I love to scroll on TikTok. I love to scroll reels on Instagram and Facebook because they give me a sense of stepping away from whatever it is that's needing my attention or I can't figure out at the moment and helps me just ignore that uncomfortable emotion for a while, overwhelm, stress, confusion on a project, something like that. There is a difference between buffering. Well, I use the word buffering, which just means the action that you're taking so that there's some distance between you and your uncomfortable emotion. There is a difference between buffering and taking time to rest and reset. Okay. And the difference is intentionality. That's it. So when I am done with a long day of recording podcasts and coaching clients and sending emails and doing all of the things that are needed to run a coaching business, when I'm done with that, I might spend some time scrolling on TikTok, looking at videos, figuring out, in a perfect world, what plant would I buy for that corner of my house, whatever, right? That's different than doing those buffering activities because I am confused about how to do a thing and I don't want to lean into the uncomfortable emotion of feeling overwhelmed or confused. So if I'm doing the activity because I'm rewarding myself, I've checked off the boxes of the things I need to do. I want some time to separate my brain from all the activity of the day. That's different than doing that behavior because I want to avoid feeling uncomfortable. Okay. So when I'm using the term buffering, again, this is not the same as resting and taking care of yourself. Same thing when it comes to eating a snack or eating a really indulgent food, maybe a chocolate bar or a glass of wine or something like that. Those can be beautiful self-care things if it's done with a clear mind, with intentionality, versus I cannot figure out how to, you know, get this laundry done and clean the house all in, the time I have before the in-laws show up. I'm just going to go drink a glass of wine, right? That again, that's different. You're avoiding an uncomfortable emotion by indulging in wine or a snack or whatever, as opposed to, you know what, I want to relax right now. I maybe have a to-do list, but I'm going to choose to set that aside, enjoy a glass of wine, and then come back and be fully present, right? It's the intentionality. So, in this, when I'm talking about buffering away from negative emotions, I'm not talking about the intentional self-care that can be so, so helpful. Stress needs to be addressed and processed. Uncomfortable emotions, I like to say uncomfortable emotions instead of negative emotions, just FYI, because I don't think that overwhelm, anger, guilt, confusion, stress, I don't think those emotions are negative in the sense that there's nothing wrong with them. They're uncomfortable, absolutely. And I think that that's okay. They are meant to be uncomfortable so that we don't stay there, right? They're telling us that something needs to change or that we need something, right? Guilt is telling us, hey, you did something that may have been an overstep. I need to think about that. Grief is telling us, hey, you loved really deeply and now that thing is that not there, that relationship, that pet, that friendship, whatever, right? And or that job, right? And now you're going to grieve, right? The grief in itself doesn't need to be called negative. It just needs to be addressed. Stress is the same way. So stress is very uncomfortable, right? We get the tension through our body, and we might have anxiety that comes with it, or increased heart rate. Stress can be very uncomfortable, but it's telling us something, right? It's telling us something in our environment is potentially dangerous. We feel unsafe. We feel like we can't figure this out, right? So it's our opportunity when we feel an uncomfortable emotion. It's our opportunity to check in and name the emotion and lean into it, take the breath and say, what is this uncomfortable emotion trying to tell me? What do I need here? Am I feeling stressed and I need to separate from the situation and do some deep breathing, do some stretching, go for a walk, right? Am I feeling grief and I need to check in with myself and take care of that grief? Go somewhere where I can have a good cry. Call a you know, relative who knew the person that you lost and say, I need to remember and reminisce about the person we lost. Will you do that with me, right? Uncomfortable emotions, when we can address them, they become very powerful catalysts for healing, right? The other thing that we'll get into in just a second is that uncomfortable emotions don't have to go away in order for you to live a productive and happy life. Okay. So just just so you understand, you are not wrong or weak for buffering, for wanting to separate from that uncomfortable emotion. That's normal human behavior. And if you continue to do that the rest of your life, you're fine, right? Your opportunity is that as you become more aware of the times when you are buffering away, you can lean into that and become more resilient and learn to embrace that negative emotion more quickly, name it, and breathe your way through it. Now, let's talk about if you are feeling a negative emotion and you need to continue doing the thing. Okay. So you're going to have family over soon and you need to clean the house and you need to do the laundry and you've got this big long list and you are feeling overwhelmed. You can go sit on the couch and eat snacks and watch Netflix, and nothing will get done. And you will numb out to the pain. And in a few hours, you will still have the laundry and the cleaning and all of the things. And you will continue to feel overwhelmed again, right? Because you're going to come back to that situation, have the same thoughts in your head, and feel the same emotions. So there's two things that you can do in that scenario. The first thing, again, you want to notice what you're feeling and name that emotion, right? We need a game show. Name that emotion. Notice what's going on in your body. Yeah, I've got a lot to do and I'm feeling really overwhelmed, right? So you name the emotion. And then I just want you to like think the biggest and, right? Like bold, italicized, like massive font and. You can be, because humans are amazing this way, you can feel overwhelmed and do the thing that you want to do. So you've got people coming over. You want to get the house cleaned. You can feel overwhelmed and go get the house cleaned. You can do that. You are wonderfully capable of this because what you're going to do is when you name that emotion and you notice that you're feeling overwhelmed, the natural, like if this is your natural pattern is I see that the house needs cleaned. I think I don't want to clean the house. You feel overwhelmed and you buffer away. You go to the couch, you eat, you snack, you watch TV, right? And the result of that is you don't clean the house and it continues to be dirty, right? Once you notice that you're doing that, you can move to a different pathway. The house is dirty. I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I'm capable of doing this anyway, right? I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm capable of doing this anyway. And then you feel a little bit of hope, a little bit of curiosity. Maybe I'll just clean a little bit. Maybe I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I'm going to put on my favorite podcast and do a little bit anyway, right? Whatever emotion comes up for you when you think, I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm going to do it anyway. Let that positive emotion kind of bubble up for you. Curiosity, courage, hopefulness, right? And then start to act from that new emotion. It won't feel great because you're still going to have your uncomfortable emotion playing in the background. But eventually, as you continue to act, those new emotions of, I've got this, I'm going to figure this out, I am capable of doing this, that's going to start to take over in your brain. And as you start to think those thoughts, you will start to feel more motivated, more dedicated. You'll have more energy, right? If you were to feel that uncomfortable emotion and think, I'm overwhelmed, I'm done for. Yeah, you're probably right. You're not going to get much done, right? You're going to sit on the couch and buffer away. But if you can just in your brain add, yes, I'm overwhelmed, notice it. I'm overwhelmed and I'm going to do a little bit. Same thing with stress. I'm feeling really stressed and I'm learning to handle stress better. I'm going to take some breaths. I'm going to take a few little actions that will lead me to a place where I'm feeling more calm. Okay. Same thing with grief. I am feeling all the grief, all the sadness, and I can take care of my house and still feel grief, right? Now, sometimes, depending on the uncomfortable emotion, sometimes you do need to just sit with it. But if you've got stuff to do, it's okay to say, I'm going to bring this uncomfortable emotion. I'm going to put it in my purse. I'm going to sling the purse over my bag and we're going to go. That negative emotion, that uncomfortableness that you're feeling, it's just going to come along for the ride today. We're not going to pretend it's not there. We're not going to pretend that it's not heavy, right? We're just going to bring it along. And at some point at the end of the day, at the end of the week, when you have your next coaching call, whatever, you're going to pull that purse out and be like, let's go through this because we've got some time now. Let's go through it. right? We're going to pull that stress out and be like, all right, how do we want to address this, right? Pull that overwhelm out. How are we going to address this? But in the meantime, stress and take some breaths and keep going. Overwhelm and I can learn to do a few things. I can tackle this one thing. I can get the help I need to figure this out, right? That process of learning to feel those emotions and then learning to accept them instead of push them away or pretend they don't exist, that creates a really resilient emotional fortitude. Okay. This has been a big deal for me. I've had a lot of resistance, feeling very resistant to some changes I'm trying to make in my life. And this has been my process is like, yes, feel the resistance. I don't want to. And I'm going to take one little step. And I'm going to lean into it a little bit, right? I'm also taking time to journal and do the emotional work around why am I feeling resistant to this change, all of that, right? But when it's time to accomplish a task, change out the laundry, do the meal prepping, whatever it is, the thing, right, that I'm feeling resistant to, I can say, yeah, oh, there's that resistance. I don't want to. And I'm going to lean into it. There are so many wonderful tools that allow me to do this. I've been doing this work for almost 3 years. So don't feel like you're doing it wrong if you are hearing me say this and you're like, I'm hearing you, but I can't do it. It's okay. Just notice your emotions, notice your emotions, notice your emotions. That is the first step. Okay. You can also download my free Lower Your Stress in 3 Quick Steps. Print it out, use it whenever you're feeling those emotions, especially stress and overwhelm and those big emotions. Use the physiological sigh. It literally takes 30 seconds once you've practiced the 3 steps. And you can really create just that little bit of space where you're like, okay, there's the emotion. I can name it now. Sometimes that's hard too, is really figuring out what am I even feeling. So if you want that one, go to aimforgreatnesscoaching.com/lower stress 123. I'll link it in the show notes. But practicing in real time how you're actually feeling and then breathing through it is really, really helpful when you're first trying to figure out how to deal with all of this. If you don't have a coach in your corner, start with the Lower Your Stress 123. That's a really good starting place. And if you want more support, if you know that this emotion thing it's not something you're getting a handle on, definitely reach out to me. Let's do a 30-minute. Sometimes it takes up to an hour, but 30 minutes, we'll jump on a Zoom call and we'll talk about where you specifically struggle and if that's something that life coaching can help you with. But in the moment, like when you are feeling anything that feels uncomfortable, just take a breath and see if you can name that emotion and keep moving through your day. I would love to hear how this lands for you, whether it's helpful. Go ahead and leave me a DM on any of my social medias or comment on this podcast and let me know how you're doing and whether it resonated for you. And have a beautiful day. Thanks for listening today to Nurse Burnout Solutions. Remember, I really believe that all stress is manageable and burnout is not inevitable. If you are struggling with stress or in burnout, I can help. Check out the show notes for ways that we can connect and get you the support that you deserve.